So come on up, Shannon. Shannon is a lover of all cake except red velvet. Much like Joey Tribbiani, she does not share food, so please don't ask. She's entering year 3 of the best midlife crisis ever and encourages everyone to say yes to new adventures. Shannon also loves the Golden Girls, but promises not to tell any St. Olaf stories. Welcome Shannon to the stage.
And the reason, of course, for no St. Olaf stories is because I am Dorothy Zbornak. That's really who I am. So, as soon as I saw her name on the message alert, I knew. I had seen a picture of the two of them together about 1.5 years ago, and I'd wondered if they were dating. And something told me I was about to find out. Last year, I started dating a guy that I went to high school with. And we didn't know each other back then, but we had a lot of friends in common. And I knew who he was. But we met about 10 years ago, and I was interested in him, but he was in a serious relationship. But he would pop up about every 6 months in my life, and through social media, I'd seen that over the years he'd put on a good bit of weight. And I'd actually lost a good bit of weight, and I knew that I looked good, and I also knew he needed to see me. So when the opportunity presented itself, I made sure that it happened. And after that, we kept in sporadic contact via text message, and I realized now that we were flirting. And then 1 year ago, I found out that he was moving. And we were texting one night, and I made a little joking comment about how if things got wild and crazy at girls' night the next night, I would try not to proposition him. And it seemed like a really reasonable thing to say at the time. And I just didn't really think about it again until a couple of days later when I got a text from him expressing his disappointment. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Because that was the first time I really clued in that this man might have more than a passing interest in me. And then I thought, you know, he's moving. We're never going to see each other again. Why not? So I decided, you know, why not invite him over? And when I did, he said yes. Now this was just a one-night, no-strings hookup. We were just casual friends, and that was how it was intended, and it was fine. But we had a really nice time together. And we actually sat talking for about 3 hours on the couch before he even tried to kiss me. And to be honest, I was getting kind of tired, and it was late, and I was about to say, please go home, because how long are we going to keep doing this? But after that, the next day, you know, I didn't contact him because I really did have no expectations. And about lunchtime, the first messages started to come in from him. And you know, eventually I told him just knock it off because he was being all appealing and sweet, and I'm thinking, you're getting ready to move hundreds of miles away, and this is just not fair to me to do this. But he didn't stop. He kept selling himself as this great guy, and I tried to fight it, I really did. And after about a week, I said, you know, don't you think this is nuts, whatever this is we're doing? He said, well, let's just go with it and see what happens, and that's what we did. So we spent a lot of time long distance getting to know each other, and we found out we had a lot of stuff in common, and we genuinely liked each other and became friends. And we also could not wait to see each other again, and soon we were planning to celebrate our birthdays together. Now, it was going to be 10.5 weeks between our first and second dates, and we were just looking forward to getting to do stuff like holding hands. And in fact, when we would get in the car to go anywhere, he would insist on holding my hand while he was driving. It was really kind of sweet. But after that first weekend, we're right back to a long-distance relationship. And, you know, we got to see each other several times during those months that we were dating. And again, it was just a treat to be together for a change. And one time we were in the movies, and we were holding hands, and I looked over at him, and he was already looking over at me, and we had these goofy grins on our faces. It's really one of my favorite memories about all of that. But, you know, distance is hard, but it's great when somebody misses you and they can't wait to see you again, until it's not so great anymore. And in early February, something changed. He said everything was fine, but then he ignored Valentine's Day. And I had told him it was going to matter to me, and the day before, he had asked me for my address at my office, so you know he had to know I was expecting to get flowers, and I got nothing. But he was coming to visit that weekend, and I thought, surely he will do something then. But I barely got to see him for 8 hours. And even though we agreed that weekend that we were dating exclusively, it didn't get better. We go on through March, and by the end of that month, I'm just angry and sad and confused about what's going on. But again, in a few weeks, he's coming to see me, so I thought we need to talk about this in person because that's the best way to do it. But when we did that, he said he didn't know if he could be in a long-distance relationship. or in any relationship, and he didn't know what we were to each other. And he asked me for a couple of days to think. And before he left, we went out for a late lunch, and he didn't want to hold my hand. And the 2 days that he asked for, well, that turned into a week. And he didn't understand why I was angry and frustrated, but I deserved answers. To leave me hanging like that was just unkind. And ultimately, he said he wanted things to work between us, but he never really made any kind of an effort. And I guess we held on for another month, maybe, and I tried to be understanding. But if you can't take 2 minutes to text me to tell me that you're missing me, it means that you're not even thinking about me. So I guess we held on for a little longer, and then early in May, I got a 1-sentence text message from him, and that was it. 5 days later, I contacted him, and I said I was utterly confused, but if he ever wanted to talk to me, he knew where to find me. And he didn't respond. And I sort of spent a couple of weeks trying to get him to respond. And eventually he did, and the last words this man ever said to me were, "I will talk with you, promise." He did not have to do it that way, by ghosting me, because I had told him that that had happened to me before, so when he chose to do that, he was being deliberately cruel. So when I saw her name pop up on the message alert, I knew it was about him. Another friend of mine from high school had seen blogs that I had posted on Facebook about all of this, and she had recognized having gone through a similar situation with a guy from high school who moved and only told her a month beforehand that he was going to do it. And 3 weeks after he moved, she never talked to him again. And I knew in my heart when I read those words that we were talking about the same guy. She also thought that they had been dating exclusively, and the similarities didn't end there. Promises to come visit and remember important dates, only to ignore them and then blame work or his kids. People who knew both of them knew that they were dating, but he never told his family or his other friends. I knew we were talking about the same guy. About the time that he started ghosting her is the time that he hooked up with me. And these two people had talked about marriage. They had discussed rings and the kind of reception to have, and he had told her that he would be there for her in the future. Then he vanished. What kind of a person does that? Who just makes the decision to turn around and walk away from somebody without even a backward glance? I just don't understand that kind of behavior. And then a few weeks after this revelation from this friend, another friend told me that several years back, this guy was trolling for hookups on Craigslist. Now, how do I know that this is true? Because that's how she met him. I don't know who he was cheating on at the time. I only know that he makes the decision to cheat, and he always will. I am sure that he does not think that he is doing anything wrong, because somewhere along the way, he learned that this is the way that you treat women. He could have walked away from me the very first night, and it would have been totally okay, but he made that decision to deliberately pursue me. And he could have been upfront and told me that he couldn't or didn't want to be in any kind of a relationship, but he decided to ghost me instead. And if he hadn't done that, then none of us would ever be the wiser to his true character, because I went digging just a little bit, y'all. But I'm glad that we are, because it is not just me and this one woman from high school. I know of other women, and we are not alone. And I was very fortunate to not go through all of this craziness all by myself, because I have some of the best friends in the world. And one of them is so great, in fact, that he decided, when he heard about the ghosting, to send this guy a little gift. And I do not know how to pronounce this correctly, so I'm not going to try that, but there is apparently an Icelandic delicacy that consists, I see a head nodding over here, somebody knows where I'm going with this, of rotten fermented shark meat. Now, apparently this smells strongly of ammonia and urine, and it just stinks apparently really, really badly. And so my friend took it upon himself to send it to this guy, and I did not ask him, I had nothing to do with it, but I laughed so hard I cried when he told me all about it. And I can only hope that it really got there, and that when the guy opened it, it just stank up his new office. And as for the friend who emailed me and had gone through all of this, well, we saw each other a couple of weeks after these revelations came out, and we sent him a selfie. And for a change, he made a very wise decision when he did not respond.